Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Insights with Kayla and Cassia. This is our second filming of this video today. The first time we had a little malfunction with our electronics and, we had to restart, but that's okay because everything happens in, divine timing. As a result of that, I feel like it's probably a good thing to let you know right off the bat that we have asked Spirit to channel energy through us to be received by our viewers.
Yep.
We were a little more specific this time,
Yeah.
we asked them to allow our electronics to function at the same time because we feel as though part of what happened was just that the energy that was moving through us was a little much for my phone to handle. That happens. And maybe we were meant to start fresh.
Yeah,
definitely. We were talking, for one, about all of the unpredictable energy that Uranus is bringing in right now. And, what else were we talking about there?
Yeah, we were talking about the Aquarian energy that was coming in and how that was giving us the ability to really have like that Queen of Swords type of energy to look at things objectively and allow like that Tower moment to come in and the divine intervention and really...
Yes, go in with the flow.
Yeah.
Go in with the flow of spirit and just embracing, whatever's happening and the challenges. And so we're embracing this, you know? Like, we get to record some more and talk to you beautiful people.
Yeah.
Some more. And we're really enjoying this. We started this channel as a way to sort of guide people through this mass spiritual awakening that we're going through on this planet right now. Everybody is at different stages of this journey. The stage that we're at right now is allowing us to have some experience and some insight to share with people that are, just starting on this path, or people who are also on this path like us and, at the point that we're at and just wanting more information and wanting to feel connected. That's a big thing that we talked about was just, how people can feel really alone when this journey starts, and people, places, things no longer resonate and they start falling away, and we're just like, it's like a complete loss of identity of self.
It's like when like from my own experience, like when I first started this journey, it was like I was going down the rabbit holes on the internet trying to like get all this research and figure everything out, and it's just really challenging, which we'll get into more about with energy centers and all that, but with specific energy centers that awaken and clear things that we identify with, or that we're like, this belief system is my identity. And then through the growth in the ascension, spiritual awakening process, it becomes really hard to let that go without the awareness of like what's happening in guides. So like that's what we're doing, is guiding people and channeling information in to give you the tools that you need in many aspects, through channeling, through, tarot readings, through energy work, through all these things that we were given through our growth and our spiritual awakening. It never ends, but we've gotten to a certain point where we're able to extend, like our light has grown so much from within that now it's expanding outward, and now we're able to share with the collective. So and that's that's a big part of a lot of the energy that we have going on right now. Like a lot of people are going through that process of integrating self and learning more of who we are, and letting go of all those old belief systems and all those old patterns and all those things that keep us stuck. And it's a continual process, like Kayla said, like we're constantly going through this. It's like another layer is revealed, and then another layer is revealed. And, astrologically right now, those and the astrological energies are supporting that process. We had the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which is still going on. It's still in effect. We're still feeling that energy, just revealing and breaking down all of these systems and all of these in our personal lives, our belief systems and our patterns and the ways that we have generally conducted ourselves in our lives, and then we have right now this new moon in Aquarius, which is official in our part of the world tomorrow. which is very powerful. You know, we have the sun and the moon conjunct in Aquarius being squared by Uranus and Taurus. And so this is a very intense energy. You know, Uranus is retrograde, which makes it a bit of an internal process.
Yeah.
You know, and so the sun and the moon, the way I think of them is like the sun is like our conscious will, our ego, our sense of identity and self, and the moon is like that subjective, emotional, more subconscious nature.
Yeah.
And so those two are uniting in the sky in the sign of Aquarius. And so we are being able to understand ourselves in all aspects of our being and sort of come into a harmony with that. But, you know, the sun is illuminating all of that stuff, all of that subconscious stuff. And Uranus is coming in with this, you know, kind of sometimes chaotic, bizarre, unpredictable energy to really kind of shine a light on all of those things that, you know, maybe we haven't dealt with or haven't acknowledged yet.
Yeah.
But, like, it's for the purpose of being able to better understand ourselves and better integrate the self. And so that's sort of the way we want to approach it in order to get the most out of this.
Yeah.
You know, we have that Aquarian energy, which is like that genius, that inventive, that very individualistic, but also like very aware of the big picture. You know, it's the oneness consciousness, but also like a deep knowing of self and an ability to really express the self and carry the self with authority and, you know, say like, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for. And, you know, like, I'm not willing to compromise that. And it's, you know, that detached air energy, you know, like Kayla was talking about, you know, with the Ace of Swords, that swords energy, that very, you know, like, we have the ability, if we choose to embrace it, not to get bogged down so much in the emotion of it, and to really be able to view ourselves and what we're being shown from, like, a higher perspective, if you will.
Yeah, and that's, like, looking at it objectively, like you were saying. Yeah, something came through, but I can't quite remember. But I was just also, when you were channeling in regards to the new moon in Aquarius, I was guided to start pulling cards for the new moon. So this was one of the cards that came out before. And then, I remember now, because this card came out. So this is communication is key. So for the new moon tomorrow in Aquarius. And then we also got don't let pride get in your way, which makes sense with what we were talking about prior in the other video about how it's important to talk about the darker aspects of a spiritual awakening. And then the ability to let go of, like, the things that aren't serving us and not, like, latching onto them, like, without this, who am I? Or if I release this, then what will happen? And then the fear of the unknown. And then trusting.
And what will people think of me?
Right.
You know? That pride aspect, that, like, you know, which was, when we talked about earlier, a stumbling block that we had originally, even starting this channel. You know, I can speak for myself, like, all of, you know, I got ready to make this big move, and it felt really empowering, and I felt really, really drawn to do it, you know, and to put myself out there, and then all those subconscious fears started popping up, you know, and it was like, well, am I good enough for that? Do I know enough? Am I going to be able to do this? And it was that pride of being like, well, I don't want to look stupid. You know, I don't want, you know, to be judged. All this stuff that, honestly, I'm not even comfortable admitting that I feel.
I know.
Because of my pride.
Right.
You know, like, I don't want people to see that side of me. And, you know, coming on and starting this channel, it's like, the point of it is for us to be vulnerable and to be open and to share our own experience and our own journey. And, like, that requires, you know, whenever we do that in any aspect of our lives, whenever we put ourselves out there, you know, like, we open ourselves up to criticism. You know, like, we are vulnerable. And, you know, like, we have to learn how to move past that.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were talking about with being in our true self and our authenticity. And then, you know, being in that truth and then trusting that the divine is going to support us, and that within that, it's like other people's opinions is a reflection of their own things that they have going on. It really has nothing to do with me. And so it's like that for me made it a lot easier to be like, well, I'm just gonna be myself, and I'm gonna come out of the spiritual closet, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna talk about all the things I love, and if people don't like it, then fuck them, like whatever, like
pretty much
that, because that is
and
not
that's
my
that
problem.
Aquarius energy too. That's it's like we are who we are. We feel that we have something to share, and we hope that it's going to be helpful to people.
Yeah.
And if it's not for you, then it's not for you.
Yeah.
And you can click off and find somebody else who better suits.
Yeah.
Whoever you're drawn to watch.
Yeah.
Is who you resonate with and who probably has the message for you.
Yeah.
So if you're not resonating with us, that just means that the specific messages that Spirit is guiding us to share aren't for you right now.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah. And we're extremely, like, upfront. So just, like, disclaimer, like, I swear a lot. Cassia swears a lot.
It's my authentic fucking self, I mean, we are who we are.
Yeah.
And I think the more we try to censor ourselves and make ourselves into something other than what we're not, the more the message gets lost, and we get caught up in that, that pride energy again.
Yeah.
And, this is... I keep bringing it up because it's a huge thing. We have this new moon is being ruled by Aquarian, Uranian energy. It's like, it's that season to really come out and to really be who we are. And if we're on here giving you a misrepresentation of who we are because it's what we think you want to see, we're going against that, and we're going against everything that makes the world a beautiful place. It's that... we were talking about it before, how every single person is this beautiful individual energy, and all of those different energies make this, we were talking about it like this beautiful tapestry that is creation, and every single person, when we step into our authentic selves and our authentic power, and we fully express who we are without reservation, that's when we're owning that energy. And we're, strengthening that tapestry. And it's all these different lenses that Source gets to view itself through, And Spirit very much, enjoys viewing itself through all of our eyes and all of our experiences. And they're going to vary. There may be people who are offended by, swearing, who are offended by the fact that I'm wearing a hat with a tank top. You know what I mean? Like... tattoos. I mean, anything, really. There is no possible way that you can please everybody.
Yeah.
And if that's something that's been coming up for you, if that's an energy that you've been working through lately, like, consider this confirmation that, like, you can let that shit go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we live in a holographic world where everything is drawn into us through thought and emotions. Granted, the heart energy is much stronger, but I mean, you gotta think of anything that's ever been invented started from a thought. So it's like, if essentially, like, things that are coming into our reality is just showing us that things that we need to heal, and it's like thanking that energy, like, thank you for showing me for what I need to heal, thank you for challenging me. Because it's like, those are the things that, like, I'm grateful for now. Maybe at the time, like, my pride was like, well, fuck you, like, I'm done, like, whatever. And now I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much.
And that's perfect, actually, because that just really helps to bring up a point where, if there is somebody who's watching this video and you are being triggered, then there's something that we're reflecting that's ready to be healed.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to look at that, like, this is a beautiful time to do that, because the energy is very much supporting that.
Yeah, and also just to bring up too, and which we'll talk about more in the future, but we do offer services, like, I read tarot cards, and if you want to go.
And so I do a couple different types of energy healing. Those are listed in the box below. You can find both of our resources if you want an individual session. I do remote Reiki sessions as well as in person if you happen to be in my area. Those people who know me, you can absolutely book that way as well. But energy healing, energy isn't confined by time and space.
Right.
So it's extremely effective, possibly even more so remotely. I also do a type of energy healing called Belvespita, which works with, it's angelic healing of the heart, and it works with the angelic frequencies of energy, working to open up the heart center, which is where everything begins. It was actually a modality that was downloaded as a response to the changing energies on the planet. and it's really, really beautiful, and it can really help to release, you know, a lot of that stuff that's coming up, and, you know, help bring us to a different level of clarity, a different level of peace. You know, everything's energy, and, you know, the fastest way to really work through stuff is to tackle it on an energetic level, because that's where it begins.
Yeah, I mean, that goes perfect with what I was talking about with how we're attracting it within, because it's like, society is very much like, you know, reaching for all these things to, like, you know, fulfill the internal. But now that the energy is shifting and the heart-centered consciousness is really awakening, it's more of like it's internally worked on through energy work. And then with tarot, we can look down to the source of what's happening to heal that. And it's like, then once it's shifted internally, then we can purge that energy, and then things come up, and then all of a sudden, like, I know for me, and I know for you, like, because our energy, because we've worked through so much, like, I see my realm is filled with synchronicities, telepathic communication, like, that's a regular thing in my life. And I was just talking about this, how it's like not that surprising for me. Like, at the store today, I saw 333 was a total amount. 3, like, you know, and I'm like, thank you, you know, and little things like that. So that's also a good point to bring up too, with like the beginning of the spiritual awakening with all the synchronicities. But it's amazing how they just ramp up, and then it's like magic is just such a normal part of my day that I forget almost.
Yeah, it almost doesn't seem magical because it's it becomes almost ordinary, but still in a beautiful way. Yeah, I've been seeing 1111 again. It's been a while since I've seen, you know, that's a number that initially comes at the beginning of a spiritual awakening. And so for me, that's telling me that I'm getting into the next phase of my awakening journey right now, which is really exciting. And I think like a huge part of that is starting this channel and just like starting to put that information out there. You know, and being of service to spirit, because eventually, like, that's, you know, one of the highest aspirations of the human heart is to be of service. You know, and like, we're all in this together. And that's pretty much one of the main messages of this channel, I think, is just letting people know that, like, whatever you're going through, you're not alone right now. It can feel really crazy, really confusing, you know, because it's uncharted territory. And it's funny how everything that we recorded earlier, a lot of the stuff is just like organically coming back up again, you know, and that's, we were talking about that earlier too, you know, the uncharted territory and the fear of the unknown. And, you know, right now, you know, Uranus is all about the unknown, the unexpected. You know, there's, you know, Aquarius, you know, that energy of like blazing new territory and kind of like stepping out, being that like inventive kind of energy of just like really, especially with this new moon, you know, the energy of the new moon is planting the seeds, you know, it's like the energies for manifesting what we want into our reality, you know, especially with that Uranian energy, which just supercharges that process. It's like things can happen really, really quickly.
And then that tower thing that we were talking about, you know, it's like divine intervention, and then, you know, allowing the old to fall away and surrendering, because essentially it's building a relationship between the human and the divine. So it's like those things are so beautiful when like things in the physical world fall apart. To the human, it's like really confusing, because it's like, you know, it brings up fears of like security and all this stuff, and then but because one is forced to go into a state of having to trust in their soul, and then it's like it's amazing, because it creates like this weaving process and the integration that we were talking about too.
And that's really perfect, because that's what it is. You know, that is exactly what it is. You know, we may be experiencing unexpected situations, unexpected insights, you know, especially around old wounds and healing that we need to do. And it's just like the situations or the emotions and the things that we're plunged into during this time, really, there's a gift in that like, we're almost being forced in some circumstances to hand it over to spirit and to surrender to that energy, because we can fight it all we want, but it's not, you know, that's just going to make it more difficult. You know, the more we resist, the more things persist.
Yeah.
You know, and like
what we focus on.
Yeah, you know, this is the time to really just, you know, let it go. Let it go. Whatever it is that's holding you back, whatever it is that you're being shown, like, you can move beyond that. Like, the energy is supporting us in doing that right now.
Yeah, it is, for sure. And it's like, yeah, I just keep hearing over and over again, just being able to, like, let that go, to allow the new to integrate in. Mm-hmm. It's, like, hard because of all the language with, like, the heart center and the, like, fifth dimensional consciousness and all this stuff. And then Spirit's like, no, like, don't speak like that.
We're having a translation issue right now. Spirit's coming in to course correct in true Uranus fashion.
I know. That was perfect. All right, so we got a little bit of angel guidance here. I love these cards. They're so beautiful.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic. Sorry, guys. I'm just turning off my phone so nobody interrupts us here.
So that's so amazing because we got Lady Nada, which is the heart awakening, which is what we were just talking about with that heart-centered consciousness, which is perfect. And it's just awaken to acceptance and divine love, give and receive. So what I'm feeling with that, really, it's about being open to receiving, because it's really easy to give, but to actually, like, receive that feminine, beautiful, receptive, magnetic energy versus, like, the masculine, very, like, action-based, giving, you know, all that sort of thing. So I feel like with this new moon, it's really going to bring in, like, the ability to receive. So when the tower moment comes in or whatever happens, it's like, okay, now be open to receiving that.
Yeah, and being open to allowing that space to be created in order for you to be able to receive.
Yeah.
You know, which takes us right back to being able to let things go. You know, accept whatever's falling away, whatever's being removed, like, it's happening for a reason. You know, and, like, there are blessings out there waiting for us that we need the space to receive.
Yeah.
You know, we need to be open in our hearts to receive it, and we also just need there to be physically be room.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like things can't come in, which is just seems to be the theme of what we've been talking about, is very much like just allowing that stuff to fall away, which is amazing. And then like with the new moon energy, we got Freya, which is phases and cycles. There is a beginning within every ending. Illusions are revealed and released. Yeah. So thank you.
Yep. And that's that Pluto Saturn energy too. You know, the endings, the new beginnings, you know, like the death and the rebirth process that a lot of us are going through.
Yeah.
You know, and just like allowing that process to happen. You know, and allowing that death of the old self so that the new self can emerge.
Yeah, and then like if there's confusion that comes up, or like there's feelings like we're here, like this is why we're doing this, or it's like really being able to reach out and ask for help in regards to, like, you know, it's like you don't have to go through this alone, and it really can get confusing. There's been a lot of times where we've called each other and we're like, I'm going fucking crazy. Like,
oh yeah, it happens.
What is happening? Like, I don't know what Spirit's putting me through, but this is bullshit. Like, I am done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, yeah, last month I almost gave up on everything completely. I was in such a dark place and just purging so much energy.
Yeah.
And, you know, because that's what happens is, like, our vibration is rising. And so as our vibration rises, everything that's not in resonance with that vibration is being forced out of us. And it can be, like, if we just relax and we allow it to flow and we allow it to go, it doesn't have to be a painful process. But we're human, and, you know, we have this thing called attachment.
Oh, yes.
And oftentimes to things that don't serve us any longer. You know, we're just so programmed and so used to it that, like, you know, there's part of us that holds on even when we don't know we're holding on. You know, and so that creates a lot of pain. And I think a lot of it, too, is just the re-experiencing of things as they're moving through. You know, one of my favorite phrases, you know, to tell people is what's coming is going. When in respect to the energy purging process. Like, we have to feel it to heal it. And it's going to come out, and we're going to go through that and really have to accept and experience that that's part of, that's been part of our life experience. That's been part of who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
And to honor it. And then that also goes back to what we had been talking about before with really loving, like, those, like, as for lack of a better terms, but darker aspects of ourselves, you know, and not rejecting it because, like, I know for me, like, those certain things really served me well in my life for a long time. And so, but as I'm my vibration, my energy is shifting into a different state of consciousness, it's like, you know, loving that energy back to source, you know, which is beautiful. It's like, I just hear a lot, you know, that whole, like we talked about, like that whole love and light, this and that, but it really rejects those aspects. And it's like, no, damn it. Like,
no. And spiritual, sorry, my nose, it's getting a little itchy. Oh, wow. And I just totally, it just took whatever was in there was just totally taken from me.
Yeah, I can't even pick up on it now.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I know. That happens to me sometimes.
All right,
too.
so I guess I wasn't supposed to say whatever was about to come out.
That does happen. That happens
to
me
me too. Save it for a later date, yeah.
So we got Holy Amethyst, Divine Alchemy, move beyond current challenges, focus on what you desire. So that's basically like focus on, like, go into the heart center with this heart awakening. It's really going to bring up what you really want, like the things, like releasing desires that aren't of the heart, and then shifting that energy internally, like we had been talking about, like everything comes from within and then manifests outwards. That's the feminine energy. It's very much, the feminine energy can manifest anything she wants without having to do much of anything, because it's like very much like through like magnetizing it and doing the energy work. What I mean by that is like the action around it is very masculine. So the feminine energy is the alchemy. So yeah, so just moving within and going into the heart to really draw in those heart's desires. It's a really beautiful card too.
Yeah. And focusing on what you desire, that, you know, brings up, you know, something else that we were talking about in our earlier video, which is just the fact that, like, with all the energy that's going on right now, all the astrological configurations, like, there's so much inspiration and so many ideas flying around, you know. Yeah, you know, we have Venus and Neptune who are conjunct in Pisces. And so this is a very intuitive energy. It's a highly creative energy. You know, just all of that dreamy inspiration is just flowing. You know, we have Mercury right now in Aquarius, you know, making a sextile to Mars and Sagittarius. So it's just more of that mental function, those ideas, those thoughts, you know, like all of this just truly inspired thoughts. And so it's, you know, it's a highly idealistic energy, but it's a very, very fertile energy. And just really just taking the time to write down all of these inspired ideas that are coming to us and really help those guide us to our heart center, to what it is that we really want, because our intuition, our higher selves are talking to us, they're communicating to us, they're giving us these ideas for a reason, you know, and like we can figure out how to accomplish them later, but right now it's just about acknowledging that they exist and just letting that inspiration be our guidepost towards like where our soul is calling us to go. You know, that's a huge aspect of the ascension process, the spiritual awakening that we're going through is like, you know, it starts to become almost painful not to follow your soul's calling.
Oh, it does so much. Much.
Whatever that heart center is communicating, whatever it is that we truly want, like we're, even if we haven't figured out what our purpose is yet, we're starting to figure out what it's not.
Yeah. And it's so very true. And like, it's like, I was just saying this the other day, it's like spirit at this point, I don't have an option. Like I have to follow my soul because when I start to veer off a little bit, it's like my tolerance for pain is so much less than what it used to be. And I'm like, ow, like that hurts. No, thank you. Like, it's just like it's like a little kid, like testing its boundaries. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Which is like so interesting. I mean, it seems accurate. Yeah. So we got awakening presence. The universe is within you. Wear a cloak of protection and love. So what I'm getting from that is that Spirit is saying that you have nothing to fear in regards to letting go of that stuff, because you are protected and you are safe as long as you're following that your heart. You know, granted, like when I veer off, I may get burned a little, it might hurt a little, but when I'm like in alignment with what I want, I actually I just heard this, and I remember talking about this with someone about how the challenge can be is figuring out what you actually want. Because I forgot that, because I have known what I've wanted for years, but there is a time where it can get confusing on, well, what do I want? You know, and what do I want to manifest, and what am I passionate about? And so I feel like that's what's coming through with all those inspired ideas, is like really
what do I really want?
Yeah.
It's like, if we're willing to really allow ourselves to sink into the energy and use that Aquarian insight and, you know, like healthy detachment to really look at things and look at the bigger picture and examine what's coming up for us, even if it's uncomfortable, we're really getting to the bottom of who we are. We're learning those things. What do I really want? What do I really stand for? What do I really believe? You know, like what direction do I want my life to go in?
Yeah.
You know? And that's a beautiful thing, but it's like we have to be willing to allow that process of sifting through all that stuff that feels uncomfortable and like looking at it and being like, okay, so this is a thing that exists within me. This is, you know, a belief that I used to have, or this is, you know, whatever it may be. I'm like, okay, like, do I identify with this anymore?
Yeah.
Is this really me? You know, and this can be in simple terms. It can be like a job or a relationship. Like, does this really resonate with me? Or something your parents
used to say to you, or something that you were made to believe because of the way you were treated when you were younger. It's like, that's a huge part of the spiritual, like the beginning stages of spiritual awakening, is it's like, well, why do I believe in these things? You know, and then that's when it can get kind of scary, because it's like the questioning, and then it's like, well, then who can I trust? Can I even trust myself? Like, you know, and then all this stuff. And so it is good to, you know, and again, bring back to the intention of like us sharing this stuff, is because we know that whoever these videos are going to reach is going to be for people that need to hear this stuff, that you're not crazy, and that, you know, all this stuff, you're not like we've gone through it, and so many other people have gone through it and continue to go through it as those old mental constructs are being released. Because again, holographic world, like there are mental thought forms that are created that we live in, and like as those break down, you know, the ego mind tries to latch onto them, you know, releasing the attachments. And which is beautiful with the new Aquarius, with the new moon in Aquarius, because that's giving us again the ability to break through those mental constructs that may be limiting us in reaching, like, you know, that heart-centered consciousness.
Yeah, and to really attach to our sense of self, you know, and to really start to marshal that inner authority and that knowledge that, like, you know, I know myself, I know what I want, I know who I am, I know what I believe in, and, you know, what other people think about that is none of my business.
Right.
You know, that's very much like the Aquarian mindset. And, you know, can be really helpful when we're in this period of like, do I really know myself? Do I really know what I want? Like, to start figuring that out through that lens and figure it out from a point of like what resonates with us, instead of like what we've been taught or what we know others expect of us. And that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge, and that's so important, and that's such a primary energy, you know, throughout this time period right now, and with this new moon. And it's, you know,
I agree.
We want to be careful, because with this conjunction with Venus and Neptune right now, it's a lot of escapism energy as well. You know, it's that energy where like we really feel like we just want to check out from life sometimes. Like we have a lot of really intense energies going on around, you know, all of these old wounds and all these old patterns, and looking at the shadows aspects of ourselves.
With Venus. Yeah, you were talking about Venus, right? Neptune and Venus?
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like those two, it's like,
Yeah, they can be like, it could be a great time for romance when they get together.
Yeah.
But it can also, it's, you know, we want to recede from life. We want to kind of escape. We want to like retreat to that warm, fuzzy place. And just as a disclaimer right now, I want to say, if we are looking to escape through romance, like, we want to be careful with that right now. Because we also have Mars and Sagittarius making a square to Venus and Neptune. And so that's a very tense energy. That sort of, it can be a time in our relationships, friendships and romantic, you know, however you really want to look at it, where we're feeling this push-pull dynamic. It's like we really want to, you know, lose ourselves in another person and connect intimately and deeply, and just like we're feeling all warm and fuzzy and romantic and idealistic, but then the next moment we're feeling, you know, that Mars and Sagittarius energy of like, no, like, I don't want to be confined. I want to explore. I want to strike out on my own. You know, I don't want to get stuck in something that's going to force me to compromise anything about myself and who I am.
Wow.
You know, which also leads back into the overriding Aquarius energy. It's like, you know, not wanting to compromise that. So we may feel some strain and some tension in those areas. And my advice, honestly, is to just focus on the inspiration and the creativity. Like, try not to escape too much. Definitely be wary, you know, use of substances, use of any type of addictive behaviors can be highlighted during this period. So we want to stay away from that. We want to really be able to tap into this creative potential that this energy is bringing toward us, this creative and this like self-healing and self-discovering energy. And that's where our strength is right now.
Yeah. I was just, when you were for the Neptune and Venus, and then what was the other one? The Mars and
Mars squaring.
Wow,
the
that
conjunction.
Just gave me so much insight.
That's
awesome.
It's a lot. Honestly, we're not going to be able to cover all the astrological energies in this video because there's so much happening. It's just like, basically, like, hang on for the ride. Hang on for the ride and just really allow what's coming through to come through.
With those specific alignments, I was asking Spirit for some words of wisdom. And work through your fears. Luck is on your side. A fiery climax approaches.
Oh boy!
Dun dun dun. So
yes,
just be careful.
Yes. So this is key, right? So a lot of what we're feeling and experiencing right now is due to this energy.
Yeah.
And like, this energy isn't always going to be present. So that's, you know, it's bringing up the fears and it's bringing up stuff that like is important to look at.
I feel like fire energy for some reason, especially like with the work through your fears, but because like a fiery climax, so like things are like coming up to be exposed, and then those fears are coming up. And I just also feel like so much communication about it because of the Aquarius energy. It's like, I know for me, I'm like, I have to talk about it. Like, I'm probably driving people crazy because I'm like, we need to talk about this.
We need communication is good.
Yeah.
Final decisions right now are best left when the energy sort of kind of evens out a little bit, you know, because we're being drawn from one extreme to the other. And we want to be able to come back to that center point of balance. But we want to be really aware of like what it is that's coming up for us when we're in either one of those extremes.
Yeah.
You know, because no astrological, you know, combination or aspect is going to bring up anything within us that doesn't already exist in some form.
Right.
It might heighten our experience of it. It might make it feel more dramatic, you know, but it's not creating anything that's not there already.
Yeah, and like a really good point to that when you were talking about it is, so when things come up in this process and with the awareness, it's really good to remember that we're responsible for everything in our reality and we're not victims to it, and we can't blame other people for things. If somebody's triggering you or me or anybody, it's like, it's good to look at why and like what energy that's bringing up within me, because again, we're attracting everything into our, from internally, externally. So I like to just bring that up a lot in regards to the fact that like we are not victims to things that are happening to us. We attract them somehow. And just to be responsible and take responsibility.
Yeah,
for that.
Our external reality is a mirror that's reflecting back to us whatever's going on internally.
Yeah.
And that can be like, we're not saying that to make people feel bad or feel guilty or like, oh, this horrible thing happened to you and like you created it and it's your fault. Like that's absolutely not what we're saying. It's all a learning experience.
Right.
And the internal things, are reflected outside of us so that we can see them. More easily. It's a great barometer. It's not a good or a bad thing. It's just a great barometer of where we're at.
Yeah. And it really gives us the ability to claim our power and our divinity. Like, I know for me, like, to be able to be like, to look at how things have affected me and then have the ability to take responsibility for my own energy, because I am claiming back all my power that I've given out to who knows how many people, places, things, and situations.
Yeah.
So when they come up, I'm like, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
We're very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing when we're able to finally claim that power. And not look at it like a victim mentality. Look at it as like, I am this incredibly potent, creative being who can bring into my reality anything that I choose.
Yep.
It's just like, what am I choosing? And why am I choosing it? And that's the energy that's going on right now, is like, why am I choosing these things? Why, if there's a pattern that keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, why? What is that teaching me? What do I need to learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? And like, do I want to keep repeating it, or do I want to look at those things? Because if we don't look at all of those aspects and try to understand what's happening and like what inside of us needs to be healed and allow that to heal, we're going to just keep going through these same cycles. And the energy right now is giving us a huge opportunity to wrap up those cycles and move forward.
Yeah.
We have the majority of the planets right now are direct. It's a great forward moving energy. Mercury is going to be going into retrograde in a couple weeks, but we won't talk about that right now. Like there's a lot of momentum. And like, we can seize that, but it's really important to like first know where we want to go. Where do I want to be going? And so this new moon and this energy this weekend is really helping us to figure that out, and then we're going to have, as we move into Sunday, we have Mars making a square to Neptune, and that's going to slow us down a little bit. It may bring up some health issues, things like that. It's Neptune is kind of taking a little bit of the fire out of Mars. But it's a really good opportunity, too, to really just slow down. We have all these ideas. We have all these inspiration. We've maybe had all these revelations about ourselves, and we're, like, ready to move forward. And it's just, like, giving us that time to reassess and really be like, okay, like, this is what I learned. This is what I know. So what is it that I want to create from this point forward?
Yeah, that's been a big question that I've even asked my people that are close to me. I'm like, what is it that you're creating?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to create? Just to open the mind up and see like what's in there, and it's just fun to think about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it really is. I think for me, I was manifesting on autopilot for a really long time, because I just like, I never knew exactly what I wanted. And which was great, because then like the universe gave me lots of things that I didn't want, so that I could at least know that, which helped me figure out more of what I did want. But it was just like, I wasn't really getting anywhere because I had no objective. And in the times when I did figure out something that I really wanted, I knew with certainty, those things manifest very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's just that idea of like, okay, so what is it that I want? In order to know what I want, I need to know who I am. And that's what we're learning right now.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. I think that's a good
yeah,
place to end it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. Well, I love you all so much, and thank you for taking the time to be with us during this time, because time is an illusion. So in essence, we are all together, and we are with you right now as you're watching this.
We are absolutely. Whenever you watch this is the perfect time for you to be watching it.
Yeah.
The specific energies that we talked about may have sort of moved and changed, but that doesn't mean that you're still not going through those energies at any given time.
Yeah.
Our experience is very personal as well, and there could be things that we said, if you're watching this 6 months from now, that are really relevant to what you have going on right now. So yeah, whatever. It's all in divine timing. It's all perfect.
Yeah.
We all also want to just remind everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
That way you won't miss any more videos that we do. Please check out our services if you want some help in this awakening journey. We are both very much available to help with that. And, until next time, thank you so much for being with us. And, good luck with the energies that are coming up, and just, navigating that like you got this.
Yeah.
You know.
Perfect. All right.